Right, I am sorting out the webcam. It's just been a bit of a mad rush. So hi, I am here. Just bear with me. I'm just trying to sort the webcam out. No camera detected, so that's a good start. Unless you're not bothered with the webcam, and then I'll leave it off. Although it's not picking it up anyway by the looks of this. God, honestly, short of spending £1,000 on a USB hub. How are you? How are you, Sketch? I'm hoping this mic is picking me up. It looks like it is. I'm going to be dual feeding again. Let's just double check the mic. You can. Oh, brilliant. Hi. Yeah, it's not been too bad today. It's been a bit busy. But in a good way. Productive. Hi, Dan. Okay, I have made a boo-boo. So let me just get onto TikTok and I'll explain the boo-boo. It doesn't seem to be picking up my webcam. So if you guys are happy to not see my webcam tonight, I'm sure you're fine with that. Right, let me move my microphone. Okay. Where am I going? Tickety talk. Hi, Gary. Thought I turned you down. No, stop. Everything's going wrong. Yeah, it's been a mad I'm going to look at the webcam all night, you know that, even though there's no webcam plugged in. I am here though. If you want the webcam plugged in, please say, and I will try. Right. Drawing tutorial. I'm aware I'm late, so I am really sorry. I need to try and get everyone in a position where we can all see really well. No, microphone needs to be moved. Yes, the live feed on the YouTube, will always be available. So you can come back at any time and come back to the tutorial. It's not a problem at all. Okay, so let's go live on TikTok. So, two boobies. I keep looking at the webcam, even though it's not on. Hi, Joanne. No worries. It's going to be probably over the course of 2 to 3 weeks anyway, I imagine. Possibly even 4. I'm going to not go any longer than maybe 2.5 hours at most on the live feeds. So it'll be rolled over how many weeks until we get it done, basically. So if you don't know what tonight's live feed is about, if you haven't caught anything in the group or on the TikTok, it is a full-blown tutorial. So I'm going to be going through the pencils that I'm going to be using. So issue number 1. I said I would show you how I did the trace down, and I stupidly in a panic went ahead and did it ready because I'm normally used to being ready. So I have already done the line work. If you haven't done the line work, just do it now quickly while I'm yabbering on, or come back and watch the YouTube later on, whatever's best. And I can't find 2 of my colours that I've put on the list. So that's good. So the colour I can't find is Nougat. I can't find it anywhere. I'm sure I've got a Noir around because I'm positive I ordered a new one. But no. So I've got my pencils here. And I did say that quite possible that the pencils I use will vary, or I will add, because as much as I can preempt the colours that I'm going to use in a portrait, sometimes they just generally, it changes. So if you haven't got the colours I've got, it's not a problem at all. Just go for as close as you can. All the images for downloading have the colours, so you can match them up with no matter what brand of pencil that you have. So with that said, shall we just crack on? I know, right? It's so annoying, and now I'm not even going to be able to use it in the tutorial. My office door's open, sorry. Yeah, no, I can't even use it. I'm sure it's been so long since I've done one of these. So, a quick vote. Where do you want me to start? Do we start from the ear and across, or do you want to work on an eye first? I'll give you a couple of minutes to decide what you want to do. Let me see if I can get this webcam working while you are deciding. What is going on with the camera? Let's restore defaults. Logitech, that's not changed. Nope, doesn't want to know. Okay, sorry guys, no webcam. Eyes. Okay, we'll start with the eyes first. So we'll start with the left eye. The reference picture would help, wouldn't it? Let's get that up in front of me. Now for the eye colours, this is where I have chosen things like the May green and the greys. So that's primarily what we're going to be working on, and the Kappa Mortem. So let's sharpen my green. Okay, hopefully I'm close enough for everybody. If I'm not, just say, and I'll do my best to change that. But I think I'm definitely close enough on YouTube. Okay, so the first colour I have in my hand right now is May Green. If you've noticed, I've also done the outline in Kappa Mortem. So I've done that. So we're going to... Actually, let me get my kneaded eraser, which apparently has disappeared. So that's great. Let's use my new one, if I can get the lid open. Oh, it's wedged in there. Nope. It's going to lighten the line work a bit. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is go in with the green, and we're going to create that triangle that's on the eye. What I didn't mention, or I might have, I can't remember now, you want a white or a luminance just to help with some blending. So that's the green in. I forgot a blue. Right, let me just grab... Actually, no, let's use the cold grey. We're going to use cold grey 2. And the cold grey 2 is going to go in all the areas where there is sky in that eye. So I'm just drawing the shapes that I can see. Hi people on TikTok. I am dual feeding, so I'm feeding on here and YouTube as well. This is a full tutorial. I'm not being rude if I don't give you any shout outs or say hello to specific people, as this is a proper tutorial. So we're just going through the processes. Okay, I'm now going to grab my cold grey 3 and I'm going to work on the bit that comes down the side of that green down to the outer edge of the eye. And it comes out on the very edge of that eye there as well. I'm going to grab my white luminance and I'm just going to blend over the May green just to desaturate that slightly. Right, I'm going to grab my dark sepia. If I'm going too fast, please let me know. Hi Georgina. Okay, so I'm just doing the pupil area with the dark sepia at the moment. You can see I've not gone in very heavy, so don't put too much pencil pressure down. If you have it to hand, I'm hoping I put it on the list, but dark indigo as well. I'm just going to darken the outer edge, and that will make that green pop a bit more. Again, not too much pressure on the pencil. I'm going to darken the lines that break up the sky in the reflection. And then we're going to go over the pupil. So the pupil will be layered with dark sepia and then dark indigo. Man down, I used warm grey. Oh bless you. That's alright, just go over it. Go over it. As long as you go keep your pencil pressure light, you shouldn't have any issues with regards to trying to layer over the top. So do your best to just try and keep your layers light. Okay, so we are going to grab our caput mortuum. And we're going to go from the pupil outwards into the grey. You can get away with doing a nice back and forwards motion on here. It's not too much of an issue. And that's going to give us that nice red that he's got on the inner part of his eye. So now we're just going to start building up from our base now. So I'm going to grab my cold grey 4. And the cold grey 4 we're going to use to pick up some of the darker details. You've got a line just there, you've got one just here. And then we're going to use it to blend our caput mortuum into our warm grey. I'm just blending it with little oval motions. Just going to darken around. Just use the cold grey 4 to darken any areas that you need to. In fact, we've probably, I say we, you're not the one that here. There's a bit too much Caput Mortuum here for me, so I'm going to brighten that up again and come back in with the cold grey 2. So at this stage, I'm just going to blend over the whole lot with my white. Don't do it too hard, just nice and gentle. Then we are going to use our dark indigo to just base in or block in where the upper fur on the eye here, like that, and it comes across the eye. If you have a look, it's quite straight, so we need to cut off the very top of the eye there. And what that does is going to help us determine how much darker we need to go in certain areas of the eye, because you can't always determine how dark you need to be in places unless you've got something relative to it. So we're going to bring it round with the same colour, dark indigo, and we're just going to darken in this area. Just keep layering it up gently, and then we can go over this pupil, get that a bit darker. We're going to go over with the dark sepia again on the pupil. Well, I promise I am I am ignoring comments on TikTok, but I'm not doing it purposely. I'm dual feeding over YouTube and TikTok, so this is a full-blown tutorial. So if you do have any specific questions, please don't hesitate to put them on the Q&A, and I will answer them in a video when I can. Right, I'm going to grab my green, and just where this grey starts to come into the green, I'm just going to do some little extra details just to make the green a bit more saturated. And I think we can afford to come darker, so I currently have dark sepia in my hand. And we need to be much darker underneath the bottom here. Generally with eyes you always have a very dark spot, a light spot or a line, and then a dark line again. And then with the same colour, dark sepia, I'm just going to darken up the area in here where it needs it. Right, I'm going to grab my Caput Mortuum Violet now. If you see the difference between the Caput Mortuum and the Caput Mortuum Violet, so there's a reason in this particular portrait I was going to use both. I think for some of the real pinkier areas the violet's going to work really well. So I'm going to blend out from the edge of the pupil, and the reason I do that is pupils are never strong black lines. They're always soft and blend out into the iris. And then we're going to grab the cold grey 4 again, and then blend from the Caput Mortuum out towards the green. This tutorial is really going to be based on just my I don't know, my way of thinking, I guess, when I draw these things. So there's going to be no methodical way of doing it in the sense that I have a pattern. So my pencils will be a bit all over the place. Okay, so I'm now going to go in with the black. And the only thing I'm going to use the black for currently is just to strengthen the most inner part of his pupil. I think you've got on YouTube, I think the lighting's catching, there we go, it's a bit better. Okay, how you doing so far, guys and girls and everybody in between? I realised I haven't put any whiskers on him, so I haven't done myself any favours there. Although looking at it, a lot of his whiskers are brown anyway, apart from this side. So I know I'm going to end up messing up. Someone remind me when we get to this bit to put his whiskers in. Okay, if you're following the tutorial, give me a thumbs up. Tell me how you're getting on. If you want me to slow down, if you think that I'm going too fast, please let me know and I'll do my best to slow down. Yeah, see, that's my fault. I knew that there would be the odd colour or two that I would end up forgetting, but I grabbed the cold grey instead of using a blue, but I'm still tempted to add some blue in. Shall I do it anyway? Let's do it anyway. See where we go. What blue do I want? Let's just go with light turquoise. Yeah, that works quite nicely. Right, I'm just going, actually I'm going to go over with the dark sepia, I think. Just to pick out again the couple of lines that he has. Cold grey 4. What I need to do is strengthen the cutoff for the green. So I'm just going to gently draw a line, and I do mean gently, and then just blend that out slightly. So we're just going to make that just stand out a little bit more. And all I'm going to do is, as I come across the top, I'm just going to wiggle about just to draw some, I don't know, fake trees or whatever. Make sure that's nice and straight across there. Right, I'm going to pull back a highlight because it's a little bit heavy on one area, which is this one. So I'm just going to lengthen that highlight. There we go. And I think we're done on that eye for now. Sepia is like, if you think of vintage photos, sepia is like a dark brown. I don't know how well you're going to see that, but it's like a grey brown. Think of an old vintage Western photo. That's probably the best way that I can just, that's classed as sepia. So the dark sepia is a real dark version of that. So those on TikTok, I'm dual feeding over on YouTube as well. So I'm not ignoring any comments, I promise you. It's just that I'm multitasking. Oh, bless you. Thank you. Okay. Are we ready to move on to the other eye? Or has anyone got any questions so far? Eye's probably taken about 20 minutes. I've always been into colouring and drawing and just generally arty stuff. So I've always enjoyed it. It's always been my thing. Okay, you ready to move on? Guys on YouTube? You done your DDR, you would have been alright, you would have got there. Just waiting for some people to come back, and then we're gonna move on to the other eye. And then we'll work on the ears. And then we'll work our way across and then down. Okay, there must be a huge delay on YouTube. Right, okay, I'm going to crack on with the other eye. I'm going to grab my dark sepia and just block in where the pupil is. Okay. Raw umber. And we're going to follow the yellow gold colour that he has in his eye. That comes sort of all the way down and around. I have, so I don't know why it's, I don't think it's blurry. I think you'll find it's the actual picture because it's slightly out of focus. If you notice the angle of the subject, no, I don't think it's your tablet. The eye will be slightly blurry. The line work shouldn't be because you can see it's in focus. So this will be slightly blurry because technically it's out of focus as it has a bit of depth of field. But it shouldn't be blurry. So I'm just going to blend that through. To be honest, it might just be OBS ruining my 1080p. On top of the raw umber, we're going to go in with the May green. Don't worry, I'm dual feeding on YouTube as well as TikTok. So the guys on YouTube, I'll be chatting as well as you guys. So I'm going to go over with the green now. And you'll see it will just add a bit more saturation. And give it a little bit more of a gold look. We've got a bit more green happening around here. I'm going to grab my light blue. Make sure your video is playing at 1080p, Dan. It may be 720 or lower on your iPad, so just check. Miss you too, Evie. Okay, so I'm going to go in with the blue and I'm going to lightly block in where the blue and grey sits on this eye. I'm going to go in with the blue first because when we go over with the grey it will change the tone of it, so it'll desaturate it. So I'm just going to lift some of that pencil work so I don't have those lines. And then you're going to leave any reflection as negative space. So just draw a shape. It doesn't have to be exact to the reference. So that's our blue in. And then we've got a little bit of blue under here. And then we're going to go in with our Caput Mortuum first. These tutorials that I'm going to be doing for these will be available on my YouTube. So they'll be saved on my YouTube if you want to follow along at another time. So we're going in with the Caput Mortuum. I'm going to lighten that little top bit up a bit. Yeah, links in my bio if you want to watch either on YouTube or see come and do the tutorials later on. But I'm just going to push a bit heavier where I can see some specks in his iris. And that's everything blocked in. So we're just going to work on top now. So dark sepia. And I'm going to draw a line that he's got of shadow or reflection. Just in there, and that matches with the reflection lines in this one. And I'm just going to, as I say, do some random shapes for trees to look like reflection. It doesn't have to be exact, again, to the reference. Blend out around the pupil just to soften that, and then we're going to come in with the dark indigo. What I'll do is later on when the live feed's finished, I will pop a link. There is actually a link in my bio on TikTok which takes you to the downloads for this tutorial, and on there are the colours that you need. Now just look at the colour swatch and pick the closest thing that you have. So it doesn't have to be polychromos, just pick the closest that matches the swatch. Yeah, it will be. Yeah, Erica, sorry, I just missed that. Lovely. Yeah, I'm going to edit the description and everything after the live feed. I should have put it in beforehand, but I was in a bit of a rush. Okay, so with the dark indigo still in our hand, to help us get a bit of idea of contrast, we're going to do the line around the outside where it starts to go really dark. And then it makes it easier to see whether we're dark enough or light enough in this section. And we're going to bring that all the way around. There's a tiny pale line, so leave that as negative space. Don't colour over it. And then again we've got another negative space area there. and it's actually dark sepia in here, but we'll do that when we come back to it. We just want to get the dark line around it in place. So you'll notice how I'm drawing around any shapes that are a highlight. So this is what I suggest is the easiest way to add highlights. Just leaving it like that. So I am dual feeding at the minute. I'm not ignoring anybody, I promise you. It's just a bit difficult to dual feed, teach and talk at the same time. Okay, so now we've got our basics down, we're going to start rendering up a bit more now. So let's grab our Caput Mortuum Violet, and we're going to work from the pupil outwards, and very gently we're just going to build up the colour. And we come right out into this lighter section. We've got a little bit of a highlight happening here. And then up in the yellowy orange bits up here, we've got a little bit of the Caput Mortuum showing through. So just add a little bit up here. And just very lightly, nice light pressure. Just adding a bit of wibbly wobbly, because that's my technical term, texture onto the eye. Do it a random colour, Dan. Just go for it. Any old colour, it doesn't matter. It's more to try, and don't forget though that you can blend those 24 to make over 100 colours. So it's knowing what 2 colours you can blend together. But just pick the nearest. Don't worry too much. This tutorial is more about technique than getting the colour right. That's the most important thing. I'd rather you got the technique down and worried about colour later on. So again, I'm just going over where I can see there's little bits of Caput Mortuum. Okay, so I'm gonna come in with my white now, and I'm just going to blend over the very edge where it meets that dark section. Just there. And then we're going to come around and work on this. So we want our, let's go with our Cold 4. Oh, my webcam's not working for some reason. I don't know why it's not working. I did try, but yeah, it's not playing ball today. I'm just going to add some of the lines that's in his iris. I'm just going to build up the shading. I've tried to keep the colours to a minimum. I mean, you can go mad and have loads of different colours, but I wanted to try and keep it to a minimum for you. Dances with Aardvarks. No, hi. Mike, isn't it? Hi, Ben. Hi, Leona. Hi Claire and everyone on TikTok. Okay, so we're just blending in. And we've got a little bit more blue up here. So I'm just going to grab my blue and add a bit more blue up here. A bit more blue down here. You notice I haven't touched that highlight area at all. There is a little bit of blue just inside, so I'm going to add that. And just pop some little details up into the highlight area so it's not quite so straight, if that makes sense. Okay, so dark, yeah, no, it's not a colour. Dark indigo, yay! Brain kicked into gear then. I'm just going to pick out, again, just where some of the colours are darkest. Keep your pencil pressure light. And just make sure you get the dark in the right area, and then it will all start to help the eye look 3D. Don't forget, Cheryl, this is going to be stored on YouTube. So even if you just get the gist of it, it's not a big issue. Crumbs under the R key. Okay, so we're just going to darken up where I can see. So the dark indigo's got a nice hint of blue in it, so it's just enough to give you what you need. That brings it all up and around. How's yours looking? For those of you who have been able to join in so far. Right, there's a little bit of blue around here, so I'm just going to come over with my dark indigo. Very lightly, and just pop in a few little tiny details. Don't go too heavy. Right, and I need to soften around this pupil, so I'm just going to very carefully blend in little circles, ovals, whatever you want to do, but just blend it out so it's not quite so harsh. I think we're nearly there on that eye. I'm fairly happy with that. Just going to grab my grey, just bring up, actually I might grab blue, sorry. I'm going to grab blue and then bring that up. Okay, quick bit of refreshment. Oh, I do like a nice crisp bread. Oh, yum. I might have some with brie for my tea. Oh, if you're coming into TikTok and you want to know how to do this, there is a link in my bio to download all the resources that you need. It's the first one in my link tree. Go and download all the stuff. The YouTube video will be stored under my YouTube live, so you can come back at any time and do the tutorial. So don't panic if you can't do it now. Coffee Man is currently in a group doing a dungeon. Girls are upstairs. I'm going to zoom out because I want you to see what we're like when we're zoomed out. So that gives you an idea of what we're like zoomed out. Looks good, doesn't it? So I think rather than like sort of jumping straight to an ear, we're going to work on the fur around it. Kids are upstairs. It's Amelie's birthday tomorrow. And yeah, she's not been too bad today actually. She's had a lot of sensory play because we've had the paddling pool up, so she's had a lot of sensory play. She loves it, absolutely loves it. Need to train the aardvarks to clear up the crumbs. Yeah, you do. They are really crummy, aren't they? They're like just really crispy and they get everywhere. Squeaky chair, sorry. Okay, so let's work on the left section again here. Let's move my YouTube camera. No worries at all. Take care. Right, we're going to go in with dark indigo. And I'm just going to talk you through very quickly. Thank you, Evie. When we do dark patches or when you draw down, so if you take my line reference and you draw it down, you'll notice that the little black spots are smaller than what they are on the oh sorry, I've got a headache and it's making my mouth not work. They're smaller than what's on the reference, and the reason being is you want to start with small dark areas first and then we work out into the lighter areas. So we've got quite a big patch of dark here, so I can gently just shade in with my dark indigo where that dark is. You can see how lightly I'm pressing. I'm not pressing very hard at all. You want to make sure that you're doing the same. Okay. We've already filled this space in here, but we've got to come out and to the edge of his face. So we're going to shade that in as well. So that's blocked that section in. Now your cold grey 2 actually might be quite dark. I'm wondering, I would swap it out, get a cold grey 1. Let me grab one. Cold grey 1, that's the warm grey. Oh, P.S. I'm getting my kids damn cold. Right, cold grey 1. If you don't want to swap it over with the cold grey 1, it's not a problem. Just blend over it with white. It's not an issue. Hi Heather, I'm doing a dual live feed at the minute, so it's a full-blown tutorial. So if you want to have a go at drawing this at any time, it'll be saved on my YouTube channel. It's Paper Story. Paper Story is where I get my pencils from. Right, I need to lighten my sketch line. Yeah, my kids had a cold and a sore throat, and my other kiddo has now started to get sore throat, so I can feel it looming. Okay, so all the areas where it's white, we're just going to shade in gently with cold grey 1. So all up and around the top of his eyes. So we're just going to work on this small section, like so. When you come to doing patches of black fur, it is easier to do dark into light than it is light into dark. I'm now going to blend over. With my white luminance. I'm just going to blend over the whole lot. Try not to go into the black area that we've done here. So anywhere where it's light, we're just going to blend that. Okay. First thing we're going to do is start with our cold grey 4. Bye, Dan. So we'll start with cold grey 4 first. And we are going to very gently just pull out some hair detail from the eye into the light area. Follow the direction of the fur. We've got a few that side too. And then on this side. Then we can come up into these areas and we'll do exactly the same. But make sure you keep following the direction of the fur. And then we are going to get our dark indigo. Nice sharp point. Hi Leslie. We get a nice fine sharp point, and what we need to do is draw in our details. I think we might have lost camera on YouTube. We have lost camera on YouTube. I have no idea why. Oh, right, bear with me, my YouTube peeps. We've lost camera. Oh, I don't know why that's gone stupid all of a sudden. I do. It's been a long time since I've done any tutorials like this, to be honest. There are a few live feed sessions of portraits, so it's worth having a look through some of my older live feeds because there are some in there. Right, camera back, camera back. Yeah, it's not been too bad, thank you. How are you? Okay, so back with the dark indigo. I can't believe how dark it is on camera. That's awful and light, but I think we might have to. Hang on, if I do that. That's a bit better, I think. My ISO's up to 3200. Okay, so dark indigo, and we're going to do exactly the same thing that we've just done with our cold grey 4, and we're going to work up into the light area. Don't go too mad here. Just really observing your reference picture. Where it all sort of juts out and sticks. Oh. Quite solid this side. There's not much in the way of fur detail. But we need to go darkest closest to the eye and then blend out lighter as we come to the outside of the head. And what you need to do is a very light layer underneath his eye. Nice light layer like that. Just going to strengthen the little bit of shadow that's here, and we're going to blend with our cold grey 1 over the top. And then we've got 2 tiny little highlight markings, so we need to draw those in, so leave as negative space, or if you really need to, use the slice tool afterwards. We're going to go in with black very last thing around the eyes anyway. So we're just going to come from the top of the black area into the lighter fur. Don't be afraid to have some areas solid. You don't have to have fur detail on every single section. And we're going to come back round here, and just some little random hairs coming up. Down on this section, it's not hairy in the sense that there's a lot of detail, so what you need to do is some really tiny little stippling details, and that's how you're going to get that effect, just tiny little stippling details. Just like that, that's all you need. It's a bit darker there. And then there was a tiny little bit of brown just here, so I'm going to come in with my burnt umber. And we're just going to pop that in there. That's alright, Erica. I just tried to make it easy for everybody, really. Just easy for people to just crack on with it. Okay, so we can now come in with the black. And we can just strengthen all the fur details with solid colour. Leaving the edge where we've put in the fur detail. Making sure not to lose your little highlights around the eye. So you can see there, try and keep that intact. Now that's looking a bit too yellow for me, so I'm going to add some of the blue over the top to just try and give it a bit more of a greener tone. Just going to keep adding the black to the darkest areas that it needs it. Don't put black everywhere because it really doesn't need such a solid colour. And then this little bit here, I'm going to blend it all together over the top with the cold grey 1. Just blend the edges a little bit further into that lighter area. And that softens it all up. And that's the fur details around the first eye. Not on these types of things, Ben. No. Markers, the only trouble with markers, because they're alcohol based, they, although the alcohol dissipates, it means that they're dye based inks. And unless you're putting a thick layer of pencil over the top, archivally, they do work, but they won't last as long as just standard pencils. I might have to finally try the grid method as I'm still not organised. Bless you. Okay, so let's work on... Let's just work our way up, I guess. I'm going to zoom out of my reference. I'm just going to grab my light grey. I'm just going to change the... Just need to get that a bit more shaded in. And he's got... I don't know whether to add them or not. I might keep them off. Yeah, I might keep them off. Okay, so I'm going to grab the dark sepia. I haven't had a sip of coffee. Do you know why? Because I don't have a coffee.
Oh, well.
I'm about to have a coffee. Quick stretch. Quick stretch. Everything's cracking and creaking. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to block out very gently where the dark areas are with the dark sepia. Ideally you need to be lightening your line art, but night. I just thought because of the colour of the animal, I'm so used to now doing my line work in blue for the other series I'm doing. It felt wrong to use graphite. But yeah, you can do whatever colour you like, really, just as long as it's easy to lift. That's the only thing. Right, with the halfway point, guys, we're 1 hour in. We've got 1 hour left. Okay, we've got a little dark patch here. And then we've got another one here. So we're just going to gently block those in. I'm not going heavy. While I'm here, I might just block that in. And we've got one there as well. Okay, raw umber. I don't know why I said burnt umber earlier, but I did, but it's raw umber. Raw umber, and that is going to take us to the edge of the head here. And we're just going to gently shade all the way up. I'm going to do the same this side. I think it's probably easier if we just work on small sections like this at a time. Do you think that would be best for you guys?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So there's a little bit lost there. There's a tiny little white area there. So I'm just going to bring that back. Although it's not a major issue right now. Okay. So I think we're going to work on this bigger one first. So when it comes down and meets the eye, there's a little gap in between, but if you noticed, it comes pretty much all the way down as like a tip. So it just points down like that. And what you want to do is from the edge, you want to flick up into the light area. Don't flick up too far, because the longer you do the first strokes, the longer the fur on the animal looks. And on here we need short fur strokes. So we're just going from the dark out into the light, because it's much easier than trying to go from the light into the dark. So just very roughly at the moment, like that. And then when we come to do this section on the bottom, we want to come down in exactly the same way, follow the same direction, so the direction doesn't actually change. You can speed it up if you want and change. Normally I would change the direction, do little crisscrosses and things just to help. And then we do the same on this bit and the same on this bit. You'll find that some bits will interlace, that's not a problem. But this is why you draw your black spot areas slightly dark, smaller than what they are. That way when you start to add all the little fur details that come out, that then expands and give you the actual size that you need. So now I can go in and fill in between with a bit more solid colour. Like so. So I would swap to, at this stage, I think I would swap to walnut. So I'm going to swap to the walnut. And we're going to use little crisscross motions. We're not going to draw our fur like this. We're going to do just random patterns from left to right, and if they crisscross, even better. What you're not going to do is do lines like this and then underneath, because that won't work. What you are going to do is do our crisscrosses, and then you're going to come slightly above where that line ended, and then it blends it all in and makes it much more natural. Okay, so we don't need to do a huge amount here, but we are going to add some in over the top of where we put our raw umber. Not heavy, don't go heavy. I'm so close to the phone you can probably hear me swallow. Little dark patch there, so let's pop that in. Okay. We are then going to grab our warm grey 2. Warm grey 2, and then we're going to blend gently, not harshly, but gently over the top. Where's my phone gone? Okay, emergency something or other. Might be alright actually. Not too bad. My phone screen just went black for some reason. But I might need that in the fridge. Just blend over the top. like so. We're then going to grab our raw umber again, and we're going to use the same technique as we used, and we're just going to do some little crisscross fur detail. So we should be looking a little bit something like that so far. So we're going to grab our white, preferably a luminance if you have one, doesn't matter though, just a white. And I'm just going to blend over the whole lot in the same direction that the fur is going in. So I'm just going in a backwards and forwards motion in the same direction as the fur. Don't go over the dark areas, just go over the raw umber areas, the lightest bit. Right, we're going to go in with our dark indigo. Good, Erica, that's what we like to hear. And we're going to pick out some of these finer details in this section. And I'm going to draw or colour solid in here. And again, gently push out from this edge. And again in this section. And then the last thing is to go over with the black. What, to do the dark area? Dark indigo. As long as you sort of go in the rough realm of dark sepia, dark indigo, then black, you'll be in that range. So I'm now going to again just darken the very centre of these. Just lightly come up through the edges. If at any stage you feel that you've gone too dark, if you don't already have one, I do suggest, if you're doing these things, try and get yourself a slice tool or a scalpel. Just be careful. Slice tools have a rounded edge, which is why I use them. But if for any reason you feel you've gone too dark in some areas, you can just pull out, as long as you've got enough wax down, you can pull out some little highlights just in those areas that you've done, if you want to. I don't get commissions anymore. They've all died a death. I don't promote them, to be honest. I sort of shut them all off. As if I'd go too dark. That's true, Erica. That's true, my lovely. You will. Now I've had a sip of my coffee. Okay, I'm going to grab my raw umber. I do wish now. Let me... Just having a look. See, this is where ideally I'd pull out a luminance, but I don't want to detour too much off what you guys will be using. Burnt ochre, I just think is... I think it might be too orange. I think burnt ochre will be actually. Ignore that. Right, what you would know as cinnamon. I swear the sharpener just grabs on and doesn't want to let go. Now the cinnamon is just to warm up some of the areas, so I'm going to warm up a little section up here. It means that you can give it a bit more warmth without going bright orange or bright red or bright pink. Hey, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to, once all the kids are back at school, I'm going to sift through and try and contact some people. I tried to do a bit of a shout out because I know that not everybody contacts you back when you try and get through, so I thought if I did a shout out then people might be able to approach me. I've lost my little sharpener. Oh, that's the most unhelpful. Oh, there it is. I've been brave and put my prices up, but it doesn't seem to put people off. Hey, well done you. Okay, I'm going to use my luminance because I want to lighten a little bit of this section here. So I'm just going to blend a little bit of that section just to desaturate and lighten it slightly. And this bit here. Okay, now he has two... No, more than two actually. He's got a whisker there. It's quite thick when it comes down to here, and then we've got a second one that comes out as well. We've got a little one, and then we've got another big one. I'm just going to use the cold grey too at the end bit because it's not going to be as dark as it is near the root section. Try and straighten that bit. Like so. Then we've got a couple that literally, I'm going to do it in grey first just to pin that in. Yeah, so we've got a couple that come straight out across the eye. I've done it in dark sepia, but you can do it in fact I'm going to go over the top with dark indigo. At the very roots. Okay. If anybody is drawing along, how are you doing? Can we stop with the countdown on my TikTok, please? This is actually a tutorial, so if anybody's got any questions, I don't want them to get lost in between the spam. Oh, we're one of those. Okay, let's do a ban there, please, admin. Mods. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to go with the dark sepia. And I'm just going to block in where the dark patches are. Just like literally, that's it. I'm not going to fuss about details yet. Just want to get that in so I can shade straight over the top. Okay. Right, let's move on to the ear and then I can finish this section completely. They were telling me that I would be banned in 8 seconds. And they keep counting down 2 times now in the feed. And when this is a tutorial, people are trying to learn, and if they're asking questions, then they tend to get lost, so they get muted. Hi, Emily. Okay. Ear. So we're going to go in with the cinnamon. First of all, in fact, no, let's grab our dotting tool, which I didn't put on the list, so I apologise. If you don't have a dotting tool, anything small and semi-sharp will work. Lino. I'm sure I had some. There we go. Falling on the floor. Okay. That's all right. No, you can chat, honestly. Just, I don't accept spam, that's all. Chatting is fine. Just not people being ding-dongs. You're fine. You are fine. I keep my feeds as friendly as possible, but when people spam on purpose, I won't tolerate it. So you're all good. Thank you. No one disrespects Bonnita. Thank you, Evie. Okay, so I'm using my smallest part of my dotting tool. If you don't have one of these are really cheap. You can get them off Amazon. You can get them in the pound shop, and you get 4 of these, and each end has a different size. Mine are a mess. You can either use a folded piece of A4 paper. You need to fold it at least 4 times. I have a bit of old lino from the office because it's nice and bouncy and takes a lot. So we're going to go underneath, and you're going to have a look at your ear, and you're just going to put in some of that fur detail. You don't need to go mad, you just need to put in enough that you're not having to struggle to put that in later. It's really difficult to show this on camera because you're not seeing it very well. Crisscross motions, because that will give you the shadow in between the hairs, which is what makes it look nice and realistic. There we go. Don't go too crazy either, otherwise you're going to end up with it being too unrealistic. I'm hoping that's enough. Okay, so grab your cinnamon. I'm going to colour in that portion. Like so. We're going to grab our pink madder lake. I'm just going to do the top section. And down here. we are going to grab our burnt ochre and we're going to go through the middle. Like so. And we're going to grab our cold grey 3, I think. Yeah, it's amazing what clever little tricks you can use. I know, they're so nice. We had a really noisy one the other day. I mean, like stupid noisy, and it was to the point where it was irritatingly noisy. And we're going to blend over, don't push too gently, and you'll see that it will desaturate that colour. It will change the tone and it will make it more of a natural I want to say flesh tone. What is flesh tone? I'll go over a few times. And I'm going to use the same grey and we're going to blend all the way down into this part of the ear. Look at that magic. And then you're going to grab your Tombow and we're going to start from the inner pink bit, come into the grey, and we're just going to pull some of that colour away so there's not such a harsh line. Don't go too mad, just like that. And then we're going to come back in with cinnamon. I was looking up how to do some art trick and I was watching and realised it was you. What was that then? And then we're just going to bring the cinnamon down in between some of those fur strokes. Fur even. The door's open, isn't it? So all the gnats are going to come in. It gets rid of that harsh line in there. You can do the same with your grey if you want. You can pull some extra grey sections out. Again, not too far. Just bring them out like that. Oh, the woman. Yeah? With a marker base. Like a neon woman, wasn't she? I'm not doing a series on this. This is just purely tutorials for you guys. I haven't done a tutorial in absolutely ages, so I thought I would just... I know a few of my followers have been struggling on a couple of things, so I thought I would help. Right, we're going to grab our warm grey 2. Not a cold grey. Warm grey 2. And the warm grey 2 is going to blend out into this section here. So warm grey 2 and all the way up into that section. In fact, that pink, the cinnamon, is going to have to come all the way down to here. With the warm grey 2, cold grey 2 even, I'm just going to gently do some crisscross into the white section So when we come to blend in the next colour, it's not such a harsh blend. And we're going to do the same up here as well. Now what you want to do is slightly thicken some of these. So we're going to get the Tombow. And on here, we're just going to pull out a bit more of the colour. Sorry, the screen split. Like so. And I think I'm going to grab my Caput Mortuum for this bottom half. So we're going to grab our Caput Mortuum and draw in some fur. Leave negative space. So you see I'm pulling my pencil in and leaving negative space. Okay, so Caput Mortuum. We're going to have a little bit of Caput Mortuum up here. Again, coming down in between. And then what do we want to swap that to? We're slightly yellow there, aren't we? So I think I'm going to grab my raw umber. And then we're just going to go down the edge a little bit here. And then dark sepia will be next, I think. Dark sepia. And dark sepia is just this edge bit here. Just in there. I think we need to be a little bit darker, so with the same, just going to go in. I just need you to check then, it is definitely dark sepia. Just going to go in, darken it in there. I'm going to very gently shade over some of the area in here just so we can get some of those shadows a bit darker that's in between. Like so. I'm going to grab my Caput Mortuum again. Gently shade it over this bit. As long as it's blended, it doesn't really matter. It's when you have the really harsh, blunt end looking fur in the ear, that's when it starts to just really look off and doesn't sit well. So just make sure it's just all nicely blended out. So what we're going to do is with the your white or my white, and then we're going to just blend over the top, and I'm just going to push some of the white out as well, and that will soften some of the details. Like that. We need to be a little bit darker down here. I do believe that's a child.
Someone else down something, so I don't want to interrupt you.
Huh?
Can I stay up late and decorate?
Decorate?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Thanks.
Oh.
Got half an hour, babe, alright? And I've got to try and find where all the decorations are.
Really got any, have we? What's that?
Well, we should have like a birthday banner and stuff. I'm going to go in with the burnt ochre and just do the top of the ear here. I'm gonna go cold grey. I think cold grey 2. Leave a little edge of white. Don't colour right up to the edge. Just leave a little gap. Okay. I'm going to come all the way down. While I've got this in my hand, I might just pull up some fur detail from that section across the ear. Oh, there's a black section at the back, so I'm just going to grab my dark indigo. I'm going to draw that in. Dark indigo, dark sepia, apologies. Just draw solid colour, you don't need fur detail here. Then we're going to go in with dark indigo. Like so. And then the last thing we're going to do is a tiny bit of black just in the very middle. Okay. Now what you're going to do is with your white is you're going to work from your grey and push outwards into that white space. I need to try and get rid of my line. It's just there. Much as I can. So yeah, work from your grey and push the colour out into the white area. Notice how it's pushed all that colour out. Okay, we can go even darker, so I'm going to grab my warm grey 2 and we're going to put another layer. No, in fact, let's go warm grey 3. Warm grey 3. That's better. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Now the reference is actually out of focus at the ear, so don't worry too much about getting it precise. As long as it looks like an ear, you are okay. Blend that with the whites. And again, blend it out. Okay, I might, for the sake of it, let's go in with a cold grey 1. Yeah, cold grey 1. Okay, I'm going to follow with a cold grey 2, which comes across down here. Comes down here. And then we'll come back with the dark sepia. I'm going to put little ear details in. Just draw a faint line, a little bit of shading, nice and gentle. And we can still afford to come a bit darker down here. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to pull some of that down into the more orange fur, and that just gives you less of a straight line. And then we're going to go dark indigo. You'll notice that I never put black on its own. It's never ever gone down as a single colour. It always has something underneath. Cold grey 2. I'm going to use that to blend all the edges out to make it nice and soft. grade 3 or 4? 4. Just to darken that section up a little bit. Sip of the old brew. Okay, how are we faring so far? If I'm going too fast, again, please just mention that I'm going too fast. I'm just going to grab my dark sepia actually. I think I want to just bring a few details up in this little bit. There, so I'm going to zoom out on YouTube so you can see what we're like from a distance. What is missing is quite a bright highlight there, so I'm going to pull that out slightly with the Tombow, and then I'm going to use my warm grey 4-3 and let's just darken that in there, and that'll brighten up that highlight as well. Yeah, there we go. Too fast. Okay. Definitely, when you get the chance, rewatch the YouTube vid. It's much easier because then you can just pause in between each one. Okay, we've got 15 minutes left. So we'll work on the top section of his head. So take note of where I'm holding the pencil, how far up the end of the pencil I'm holding it. Don't hold it halfway and don't hold it down here. Hold it at least 2/3 of the way up. Okay, get a nice angle, and we're just going to sweep in an oval motion across the top of his head. He has got a super cute nose. Practice working in ovals if you don't already work in ovals. It's a really effective way to get clean layers down without too much in the way of pencil strokes. But if you try and follow the fur direction, any pencil strokes will work to your advantage and it won't be a hindrance. Okay. At this stage, I'm actually going to grab my cinnamon. And again, holding it quite far down the end. I'm going to grab my cinnamon. And I'm going to look at where it's darkest, but instead of going dark with orange, which I don't want to do, I'm just going to work some cinnamon over where it gets a bit darker, and it adds a pinkier tone without it being orange. No, I probably won't do a background. If I do, it might be a little fun watercolour thing, I don't know. So annoying I can't find my nougat. So annoying. I can't drink quietly apparently. Okay, we don't want to go too much darker than what we have. So I am going to grab my warm grey 1 That's not 1 at all. That's 3. My warm grey 1. Where have you gone? Warm grey 1. Warm grey 2. Dagnammit. What do I need to? No, 2 might work actually. Let's go with 2. That's what I said is on the list. So we're going to blend over the top with the warm grey 2. Notice I haven't put any first strokes in yet. Honestly, have a look on YouTube when the tutorial's finished and join in the tutorial. It'll be stored on YouTube. Okay, next thing, I'm going to use my luminance white. Obviously you can use whatever white you have. Try not to go over your dark patches here, just gently blend over in between. All you're doing is just blending over what you've done without going darker. It might not look like it's doing much, but in the long run it makes a big difference. I did 100 copy. Oh, bless you. Thank you. Okay. So we've got nice even colour happening there now. So we're going to work on the dark sections. Ocelot. Yeah, what on? Yeah, Ocelot. So we're going to work on the dark sections. So dark sepia. First colour we pick up. You see how much brighter these eyes are looking now we've done all the areas around it. Okay. So we're only going to concentrate on the inner parts, of the darkest part of the stripes, because when we work on the lightest parts, that's when we start putting in these pencil strokes like so. So when you're working from the top you work up, and when you're working on the bottom section you work down, and always go in the same direction as the fur. Quite a lot of dark on the back of his head. You can do some little wispy bits of fur that come up off the top of his head. Do a couple around his ear, it makes it look a little bit more natural. And we're just going to keep blending with a few lines that are coming down. And we got, just got to really look at the reference now and work through all your dark spots. Keep going with the dark sepia, then we use dark indigo, and then we use, if needed, through the very center, black. But do your best not to go in with straight black. Straight black in nature on Earth does not exist. There is always either a blue tone or a brown tone or a purple tone. There's always something to it. So always put a couple of colours underneath before you put straight black on. So I'm just going to go through and put all the individual spots that we need to put in. Got one here, comes up. Got another little one there. One there, but you see I'm not worrying about details right now. I'm just getting the spots in where they need to be. Okay, we've got 10 minutes. Just going to fill in the space in between. Then it gets sort of more compacted, closer together the further we go up the head. So we just keep adding. I'm just going to shade in between because it needs to be a little bit darker in some of these areas. Again, you don't have to be exact to the reference, but just don't go too crazy. Try and keep within at least the shapes that are created on the top of the head. Okay, so I'm now going to go in with my dark indigo and we can start building up a little bit. So I'm going to work down here. We're just going to push some fine fur out into the orange sections for each bit that we're doing. Top and bottom. Just keep it very short, don't go too long. This is why it's so important to have nice sharp pencils. Makes me shudder when I see blunt pencils being used for this type of thing. So just keep going through, adding a few lines. Don't be afraid to keep some of these areas light. They don't all have to be solid black. Once we come to do the larger patches, it's going to be very much rinse and repeat, so they'll render up a bit quicker. I'm going to swap back to the dark sepia. Got walnut now, I've picked up walnut, dark sepia. Again, I'm just going to blend in between, get some of them merged. Keeping an eye on third direction. Missed one here. Remember, push out and in to your light sections. Don't try and put your light sections into your dark, it won't work. Have I been to Brighton? Yes, loads of times. Hi, Leona. Just keep filling it up at the back here. Yeah, they've got some wicked graffiti down there. They've got really nice yo sushi too. Okay, I'm going to go in with the actual black pencil now, and just in the centre of not all of them, but some of them, just in the very centre, just add a bit more black. But hopefully you've seen how little black you end up actually using. Right, I am going to grab my walnut brown, and we're just going to pop some first strokes in now, and making sure we're going in the right direction. So from the center of the head, the skull tends to have as you know, a curve. So if you're looking at it from the center, if you're going from the center out to the left, you're going to be wanting to come from about sort of 5:30, that direction, and then that takes you up to about sort of 10 to 10. So if you think of a clock, so that's sort of the direction you need to go in. And we're just gonna pretty much go over most of the area. We need to leave some light, so add the most of the lines where it's the darkest on the animal. From the point of view of a cat's nose, you have to work from the inner eye out to the middle, from the eye into the middle. So you'd be working in this direction. Always work from your light to your dark when you're working it in coloured pencil. Always. It's really hard to put light pencil over top of dark pencil. Right, at this stage, I'm going to grab my white and blend it over. Don't blend over the dark areas because you'll just muddy them. So just go in between the bits that you've done and just blend over it. Okay, and that just softens everything. So what we then want to do is I'm going to grab my dark sepia because I don't want anything that has too much colour. And then again with my dark sepia, I'm then going to work some more details over the top. And you'll see that it's now starting to build up depth. I'm going again where it needs to be a bit darker. But you'll notice that you can still see fur details even though I've blended over that. But if you want to add some fine dark lines, let's go in with, let me see what it's like, the dark indigo. Yeah, a few with the dark indigo, because it just sort of evens out the warm. Don't have to press heavy on your pencil for the colour to be going down on it. I'm going to grab my, no that's not, that's walnut, dark sepia. I just need to extend some of this dark spotting down. A bit more. It's better. Okay, it is 10 o'clock. That's our 2 hours. So for those on TikTok, I'm just going to show you a bit of a close-up of the fur so you can get a bit of a better idea of what we've been doing. So that's where we're at so far. If you want to do this tutorial, hop into my bio, and in there on the top link is all the files that you need. This live will be saved on YouTube, so you can go back to YouTube at any time and go into the live sections and you can follow along with the tutorial. You don't have to have the correct colour pencils. It's more about the technique than it is about the colours that we are using. But it's all there for you. So if you want to grab it, just head over to the link in my bio and it's all in there. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody on TikTok now. Thank you very much for joining me. I will be back again next week, Wednesday, 8 PM UK time, and we shall be carrying on with this drawing. So I'll see you again soon. Bye. Okay, YouTube guys. Unusual for me to do it this way round, but yeah, hopefully you've found that useful. I don't know. Please come join in. It'd be really, really cool to have some things tagged and showing off what you've done. That'd be really, really cool. But anyway, I'll see you back here next week to carry on. But yeah, have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whichever it is when you're watching this back. But to everybody watching it live now, thank you very much for joining me, and I shall see you all in the next one. Bye.